3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Dead.
Because I can't trust Steve not to fart while I'm doing the intro.
Well, you were fully muted then. I couldn't hear a single thing you were saying.
No, but I had us both muted. But
Okay.
Yeah. But we're here now. Basically, I said eat, sleep, shit, repeat. Basically, we're back to square wrong. To square one. I actually thought we were getting somewhere with those first two games. Two hard-fought draws, and then this pathetic showing.
Yeah, it was from what I could see, it was a lackluster performance from everybody. Same old, really. It reverted back to what we were 4 or 5 games ago. Just dog. I won't say the S word afterwards, but dog is what I'll say.
You go and say it. You go.
Okay, it was dog shit, Chris. It was genuine dog shit. It was. Yeah. It was awful. Genuinely awful.
I don't know. Look, I've put there on our right, I guess, as we look at it, that soccer coaching for dummies with forward by Andy King and Adam Sadler. I mean, what is it that these guys, as managers, do you have to have had a lobotomy to become a football manager for Leicester City? Is that one of the things that, is when you fill in your interviewing or experience, is there a question that says, have you had a lobotomy? And if you put no, then it's chucked straight in the bin.
I don't actually blame Gary Rowett for this, I
do.
It's on the players at this point. If
he picks the players. Yeah,
but who else is he going to pick if he doesn't pick the players that he's... We went off for 2 decent performances, so you pick almost the same side. And if those players don't turn up, it's on them, right? Because we were giving him praise for the previous 2 performances away from home. And, you can't say, well, he was really good for this, but shit for this. I think overall, you have to look at it in total and say that it's down to the players. It's as simple as that. The players don't give a shit. Look at Jordan Ayew when he came. I know we'll get to that at some point in the future, but
we will. Believe you me.
He might as well not have been there. So genuinely, I think this it falls down to the players because they have no professional pride. And I made this comment a few weeks ago, but in all honesty, I think we're down, Chris. I don't think we've got anything in us to get out of this situation.
We will come on and talk Jordan Ayew later, but what has he seen in the previous 2 games that says to him, Jordan Ayew is the guy to come on and save our match?
Well, I would...
That you can blame him for.
Yeah, you can, but who do you have on the bench? Because Richards had an injury, so he dropped out last minute like Begovic did, right? So you got to look at the team that he played. And on the bench, who else are you going to bring on in that situation? Because none of them are strikers. So, and Daka was blowing out of his arse for 10 minutes before he came off. So I would suggest that he made a like-for-like striker change. and there's not really much else you could do in that situation, is there?
You could pick players on the bench that are strikers.
Like who?
And I don't know his name, but Tom's always going on about one of the youngsters.
But you're relying on young players to come in, and I think it's a massive step up for them to try and get us out of a relegation situation. Like, I don't like Jordan Ayew. I think he's a waste of space entirely. And I don't think he's a good fit for this football club. But I think most people would say, okay, you probably play him over a young person because you don't know what that young person's going to do.
He couldn't do any worse, could he?
He couldn't. But if you look at the young lads now that we've got, right? If you look at, the managers, he's not played Page as much. Aluko's not really featured. And okay, you'd probably put Aluko in over Ricardo Pereira, but none of these players have pulled up any trees at all this season already. And you're saying, oh, well, we'll give a debut when we're losing 2-0 to a young lad in the academy. It's just not going to do anything different,
Silko Thomas comes back and he's played up front before. You could have pushed Musaka. Oh, no, he couldn't push Musaka up. He's only 18. That's me being silly there, playing a youngster up front. No, we can't do that, can we? But
I feel like that's a little pedantic, Chris, if you ask me. Mainly because, again, Mikasa came off after the 76th minute and also looked fucked as well. So, you can push him up front, but you've taken him off at the same time as Daka. If he's already tired, how are you going to push him up front?
You could bring James on earlier and put him into that number 10 and move Misaka up front rather than just doing the swap. There are options there. And if he tried those options, I would give him some credit for actually having something between his legs that I don't think he's got. Something that Maresca, that will come on to him as well. Something that Cifuentes hadn't got, something that Ruud van Nistelrooy hadn't got. Try something different.
Again, I don't think
maybe try a different formation where
he probably will. He probably will, but I think that we're having a go at the manager. I don't think he takes much blame for this at all. I honestly don't. We can agree to disagree, but
yes, we will.
If you've got a manager that comes in and had 2 decent performances and you're giving him praise for that, because of the way he's turned and he's picked the same players again for this game, well, how is that on him if they don't perform? It's on the players. And it has been on the players all
a hell of
season.
a lot earlier than 76 minutes.
Oh, no, I agree with you there, for sure. You can make changes earlier, but I just think
we have to take his share of the blame. Because
I know he can take he can take a small amount of the blame. I don't think he takes full blame. I think the players take 98% of the blame for this performance because they just don't give a shit. I keep saying it week in, week out. They do not care. Look at the performance of half of these players. They're not going to be here next year. So why would they give it 100%? They don't give a shit. There's no professional pride in this football club.
That I won't argue with. But 2% of the blame, well, like I say, we'll agree to disagree, but it is a good point. And there's a thing on the Leicestershire Live earlier about why players that are leaving at the end of the season should be... So what? I mean, that's the other question. Why are we giving a match bonus out to Ayew when he's leaving at the end of the season?
Well, that's in the contract. That's what he signed. You in hindsight, you wouldn't offer him that contract, but...
No, but what I'm saying is then don't bring him on, then he doesn't get his match day bonus. Surely, Bobby DeCover-Reid is not a winger, so why are we playing him on a wing? Put him up front, at least he knows where the fucking goal is, and put Mavididi on from the start, or put Silko Thomas on there, or, there are options there. Yes, I agree. They've not necessarily been the golden ball generation that we hoped they would, but they're a hell of a lot fucking better than this load of shite. I mean, Pierre, all right, he hasn't been bad for 2 games, but suddenly he can't play twice in a week. Whoa, he can actually play 3 times in 8 days.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's down to the previous manager not wanting to play him. But again, you can pick the side that got a good result against Middlesbrough. That didn't play great, but it wasn't a bad performance. A decent second half against Stoke, and then they serve up that dog shit first half against Norwich. We I think
90 minutes, surely. I think you mean there.
Well, against Middlesbrough.
No, against
Norwich. Yeah, no, but yeah, it was dog shit. It was entirely fully dog shit.
90 minutes, not 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to keep saying it, but if we hadn't brought Ayew on, there'd be people saying, "Well, why the fuck didn't you bring Ayew on?"
No,
so it's a catch-22 situation for the manager. But I just don't think that he takes as much of the blame because again, Norwich are the form team in the Championship. They might be where they are in the league, but they are a really good, well-run football team right now after replacing Liam Manning with a different manager that has a way of playing. But yeah, it's just depressing. It's just depressing. And we've got Ipswich on Saturday, and it's just going to get worse, isn't it? Again, I think we're down. I really do. It sounds really depressing to say. And so on Saturday, I was completely calm at full time. No issues whatsoever. I drove home and I was sending a voice note to a WhatsApp group that I'm in. And with about sort of 40 seconds to the voice note, I lost my mind. And I was getting angry and angrier. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to stop this now because I'm caring too much. And I really shouldn't because the owners don't give a shit. The players don't care. Half the fan base thinks it's fine that, don't worry if we get down to League One, it's completely fine. I give up, Chris. I genuinely do. It feels like I'm hitting my head against the wall half the time.
It is. I've sent you a message, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah. I knew you were doing that anyway, but
yeah. Look, you've got the picture behind you. Let's talk about that before we get into the game itself, because obviously that was a big thing on the day, and we were talking beforehand, and I've had the conversation. And hello to everybody that's in the chat. And I Clibo, he's commenting about Ayew. But we were saying like, up until about, what time was the match kickoff? 12:30, wasn't it? So up until about 12:25, if you didn't know it, you wouldn't have known there was a protest going on.
I would disagree.
Now, no. So no, if you're in Leicester, yes, you would. But all the fans of us that are outside, I wouldn't have known there was. Now, it may have been shown more on BBC East Midlands or East Midlands Today, whatever the programmes are newsworthy up there. But obviously, we were watching it on Sky because that's where the match was being televised. And they gave it about 3-4 minutes, literally before kickoff, and that was it.
I mean, that's still 3 or 4 minutes more than it was in the last protest that we had. It was covered in the media. Sort of Colomos and Leicester Mercury talked about it. BBC have talked about it. Even people in America have talked about it. Paramount, it was on there. But yeah, it is bigger than it was before. There was about 450 to 500 people total that was at the protest. Sure. It was quite loud, and it stopped off at it was sort of stopped at the front of the stadium and then went round to the player and sort of hospitality entrance. And yeah, we were there for sort of 5 or so minutes before it sort of dispersed. But it's just the start with this situation because the club isn't getting any better. It isn't getting any better run, that's for sure. The ownership, I think they are burying their head in the sand, and I don't think they even know what's going on. I think it's finally twigged this weekend, actually, that they could get relegated. But at this point, the mismanagement at this football club over the last 4 years, because they haven't learned from it. Like, let's be honest with you. The first relegation we had from the Premier League, we cheated effectively to go back up that season, the following season, because we shouldn't have spent money, but we did. We brought in Harry Winks on a large wage, Connor Cody. We spent decent money to get up that season. So you'd say they hadn't learned from it, right? Then they got up to the Premier League. Okay, Enzo left to Chelsea. Fine, that happens. You got to replace the manager. They didn't know who to replace it with. So they replaced him with Steve Cooper. Completely the opposite to what we were building in that squad. He lasted 12 games. Then we brought in Ruben Nistelrooy. The fact that we backed Cooper, which you'd expect to back a manager, and we gave him Jordan Ayew and Oliver Skipp, who's been okay this season for sure. Dikova Reid, Okoli. So you spent a significant amount of money in the Premier League to finish third from bottom with one of the worst performances in the Premier League. There was record-breaking. Not scoring at home for 11 or 12 games was abhorrent. The fact they kept Ruud van Nistelrooy up until the day or two before the new accounting period, ridiculous. They then spent 3 weeks to learn to bring in Marti Cifuentes, right? They spent however long it was to sack the manager and then not have anybody lined up because of whatever reason to then bring in Marti. You then don't give him the players he needs in the summer, so you don't back that manager. And then, you sack him before, like, we all knew he was gone. You give an interview, the owner says, we'll have the conversation about the manager, and we sack him 2 hours later. Crazy. But we haven't learned from the mistakes. Like, we still overspent. We tried to bury our heads in the sand and fight the Premier League, which we won. They found a loophole. Great. They're now appealing this points deduction that we've got in hopes that it will get reduced. What if it doesn't? What if they give us 2 more or 3 more points because they were leaning on us and actually we deserved more? They haven't learned, and the amount of I've given top all the time in the world. I appreciate what the family has done for this football club. Right, winning the Premier League, the FA Cup blows my mind still to this day that it's happened. But if after Vishai died, and we had a new, even after the FA Cup win, we had new owners coming after the FA Cup win. Would there genuinely be a Leicester fan right now backing the ownership if it was a new owner after the FA Cup win? After what's happened? No, they wouldn't. They're except because of what Vishai did. You have to separate what Vishai did for Leicester City and what Top is currently doing for Leicester City. And if you think that's good enough, then that's ridiculous because we're about to be relegated to League One with the highest budget in the Championship. Bear in mind, we got relegated to the Championship with the 7th highest budget in the Premier League. So they haven't learned. We've got players that are on contracts that don't have the relegation reduction going into next year. So you still have Vestergaard and Decoder Vareed and Hamza Chowdhury, Luke Thomas on 40, 50, 60 grand a week. And we've already sort of given our TV revenue to the bank in Australia. So we don't have that coming for the parachute payments, right? So what have we got next season other than selling players? I think we are genuinely closer to not being a football club in 5 years' time than we are a Premier League football club. And that is astounding to say when if you look at the fall from grace for the 10 years that we've won the Premier League. And I follow this club home and I'm going on a rant. I'm really sorry. But I follow this football club
carry on,
home
mate.
and away, right? I've been to, this season alone, right? I've been to Swansea. I've been to Norwich. I've been up to Middlesbrough on a Tuesday night. I've been all over the country. I've seen us go 3-0 down more times than I'd like to count, in all honesty, which is another weird thing to say. And yet, I genuinely, I shouldn't be falling out of love with this football club at my age now. 35, no kids, I can go to games, right? But I am. And if you're losing people like that go to away games, the loyal fans that go home and away, right? I'm not saying anyone else isn't loyal if you don't go to games, whatever. But realistically, if you go to away games, you are usually classed as the most loyal following. If you're losing that, then this club is doomed anyway, because there will be season tickets that are cancelled this season. There'll be redundancies at the football club to cover the costs. We will have to close several pitches at the training ground just to keep the club going, to keep the lights on, right? We'll sell Fatawu and Monga and whoever else. We're going to be a skeleton next season with the amount of players we've got to bring in. And are they going to be better than the players we've got now? No. And it breaks my heart, genuinely, to see the soul ripped out of this football club. I love this club more than anything in the world. Maybe not. I love my wife more, obviously. Let's be honest. She's in the other room. I've got to say that.
She's behind you. She's behind you.
But I have followed this club since I was 5 or 6 years old, right? And to see how it is now is genuinely heartbreaking. And I'm sorry for going on the rant for everybody, but you might not agree with me. That's fine. Honestly, I respect your opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's completely fine. But right now, I am worried that we won't have a football club to follow in 5 years' time.
I can honestly say that I love this club more than my wife, because I am still married to my wife, but we're separated. So I can say that and get away with it. You know what I mean? But I don't. And I say I will take you back to a show I did 2 months ago now, and it's still on the YouTube site, and it's still on. It's under the debate playlist, and it's called "Falling Out of Love with Your Club." Mm-hmm. And I was saying exactly the same things that I'm 65 this month, right? and I still don't get a fucking free bus pass. I've got to wait another year. That's a separate rant for a separate show. But I've seen this club in the shit, and I've seen us with the glory years. I've always said I will die happy knowing that I have, out of my 4 kids, there's only really Sean, my eldest, who's into football. He's not bothered for Leicester. He's got a 10-month-old. He gave me a beautiful granddaughter, but so that's taken a lot of his, time and what have you. But you still find time to watch the football.
Yeah.
He didn't even know Marty had been sacked. I mean, that's how little he follows the club. And I felt guilty back then. And like I said, this was 2 months ago, saying that, is it just me, guys? Is there anybody else falling out with the club? Falling out of love with the club? And obviously 2 months ago, it wasn't as bad as it is now. But I get exactly where you're coming from. I totally understand what you mean. And as I've always said, you love your kids, but they grow up and leave and go off around the world, wherever they're doing. I've got 2 in London, I've got 1 in Africa, and I've got 1 10 minutes down the road. Your wife, you can divorce your wife and have an affair and go off and what have you. You've got a car that you've always wanted, you go out and buy it, you can sell that and get another one. You can't change your football club. You can't simply say, well, and I joke, I know, I was joking that if we gave this manager the job, I'd go off and support Forest. I mean, it's all sort of tongue in cheek, but you can't change the love of your football club. And I've come to the point, and I was speaking actually, funnily enough, to my Burnley mate, Dan, from Turf Moorhouse TV earlier, who rang me. And he is feeling the same way as we are feeling now, especially recording VAR. But poor guy, what a game! But it's not just everything about football at the moment is so shit. It is being ruined by money. It's being ruined by the fact that we've got to pay all this money out to try and keep up with the big boys, and when we do that, we get punished. And I asked at the end of the watch along on Saturday, there were 6 of us in. Luke joined us from BTG. He obviously, used to have his own channel and he used to come on mine quite a bit before you pinched him, but I'm not saying that out loud.
I didn't pinch it. Not me. It wasn't me.
I'm only joking. He came on, the angry Aussie, and there was at the end, I said, a one-word answer: are we going to get relegated? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Jim from America and Wayne, who are the 2 positive guys on the watch along, both said yes. The other 4 of us all said no. We will. So we will not. So yes, we will get relegated, and they said no, we won't get relegated.
Yeah.
I think we will. And it makes it less likely that we're going to sell the club if we do, because who's going to want to pay anything decent with the debt that we've got for a club in the 3rd tier?
Well, exactly. And then, there are some fans online that have said that, well, if you're protesting, you're not real fans. I would say we're the opposite, because we're worried about the future of our football club. If anything, we are so in tune with this club that, we're having to protest the owners that have done so much for us. We do love this football club, and we are worried about there not being a football club. And yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with people that don't even follow Leicester, that follow other teams. Even my boss at work, who doesn't follow football, but keeps he looks at Leicester's results because he knows that how I am.
Yeah.
And after every defeat, he rings me the next day and goes, "How you doing? Are you okay?" And I'm like, I shouldn't have that. I shouldn't have somebody doing a welfare check on me because a football club is shit. But it is. And there are also people saying that we're protesting because the results are bad. No, we're protesting because the mismanagement of this football club has been astronomical. The fall from grace for this football club has been so rapid that I don't think there's anybody you can compare it to. And next season, we could have a local derby with Notts County, who were in the Football League, in the National League 2 years ago, right? We could be playing Bromley. When we were in the Premier League, I think they were like National League North. We're going to be swapping divisions with Lincoln, who have been a lower league, team for a long time. Wrexham could get to the Premier League, and 10 years ago they were in the National League South. How is that? Sorry, I think they're in the North section, but how is that possible? How is that where you can think, shit, our rivals next year are going to be Peterborough, Notts County, Mansfield? For Leicester, these are teams that we should be playing as a pre-season friendly in summer, right? When it's nice and warm, you can go on the piss, watch your team play 90 minutes, see the new lads, and off you go. Not saying, oh shit, I want to get a point against Notts County at Meadow Lane. How? And I honestly don't understand how fans can be so defending of the football club. I really don't.
I don't think you could. We're definitely not protesting the. What's the word I'm looking for? We're not protesting the results, because if we were, then we wouldn't want. We were saying King Power out. If it was just the results that were bad, then we'd still be to some degree behind the owners. Interestingly, I did see a little bit on a YouTube channel today, or TikTok, I think it was, and the only chant I heard was for John Rudkin now.
No, so it was a lot. There were several chants that were sang at the protest. The whole point of the organisation was that we were trying to make it a very central point where we weren't derogatory about anybody, right? We were trying to just King Power out, Rudkin out. That's fine. You're not going to get one out without the other, unfortunately. Rudkin is going to be here until and this is completely different. I know you guys have played Football Manager on a Sunday, right? So at the moment, I'm playing an online save with Locks and another lad, where I'm Spurs, Locks is Chelsea, and Adam is Man U. We all offered John Rudkin 50 grand a week to come and sign for us as director of football, as a joke, be like, oh, we'll take Rudkin away. He turned us down and accepted 15k a week at Leicester, right? And if this game isn't hard-coded to say that John Rudkin he's never leaving the football club, then I don't know why, because it feels like that. And that is what's going to happen at Leicester. He will be here until Top leaves. And look, I don't like the certain chanting against Rudkin or Top as a personal thing, because I don't think that's acceptable.
And that's overstepping the mark. But...
Yeah. But the message of King Power out should be the way to do it. But sorry, can I just reply to Kevin really quickly? Because Kevin, so you say the best way to approach is not to stop going. I would disagree, because then you're going to get hit with people saying, well, you don't back the lads. You're not supporting the team. So the whole point of the protest was to do that up until the start of the game and then back the lads entirely, which is what we've done. At Stoke away, it was the best atmosphere I've been to all season. Even when we went 1-0 down, we were all going still. At Middlesbrough away, there were 700 of us there. And we were as loud as we could be. And I don't think there's anybody that went to that protest that didn't back the football, the lads on the pitch itself. I know some people booed IU or whatever, that's their opinion and what they want to do. But if you don't go and you allow the football club just to have the people that won't protest, that just want to sit and watch the football game, there's no noise. These people that are saying back the lads, unfortunately, if we won't make noise at a football game, they don't make noise. They sit there in silence. So if you don't have Union FS making a noise, there's nobody else doing it. So, and then it's like, well, we got rid of the bad eggs. We're going to be a lot better off now. Well, you won't be, because there'll be no atmosphere in the football ground. And that's just as bad, if not worse.
I mean, I kind of fall between the two. I get this. Look, I am, when I'm not playing devil's advocate, which obviously as host, I have to. Otherwise, it'd be a very short program. You'd sit there and go, we're shit. And I go, yes, well, I agree with you. Goodbye, everybody. But I think for me, it was the wrong time, because it was our first home game under the new manager. However, I get why it had to be done, because when this was starting to be planned, we probably still had Marty, etc. I kind of think I kind of get what Kevin's saying, and all right, you've done this now. The next step, I would say, but the problem is you're not going to go. And I wanted to ask you this, because if there was a load of Man United fans did this and they didn't go, or didn't, and a lot of people aren't renewing the season tickets. If you're Man United, they don't give a shit, because if 2 people drop out, 2 more people will be in the queue to buy them. I don't know whether that's the case at Leicester or not, but if the TV cameras are there And maybe this is something to do for the last game of the season if we're already down. And that is, don't go. Because we're already down. The cameras are there and they will just film an empty stadium. That's, to me, and like with Kevin, that to me is the biggest message out there. It's something that is really, really visible. The other option, and I did laugh at the time, I don't know if I said this to you, I said it, I think, to Clibbo, is back in the day at Burnley, this was sort of, 20 years ago, they 20 even further possibly, they wanted their owners out. So they all went along to the game to support the lads, and then just everybody turned their back on the cameras. So all the camera was filming, none of them were actually watching the game. I mean, obviously, after a while, it sort of broke down, but that is such a visible protest, and that goes on throughout the game. You're still there backing the lads, but you're being seen to do something a little bit more, I think, than this. Although, like I say, I have nothing against the protest. Everybody's entitled to do what they feel.
So I think this is just the start. I don't think it's just going to be one game and then off you go.
No.
Obviously, the next home game is against Bristol City. Bit difficult to do on a Tuesday night because there's not going to be many people there anyway, I would imagine. But there will be something potentially at the next the home game after that for sure. I think there is plans in place. I don't want to give too much away just in case. Like, I'm not organising this. I want to say that I'm not. This is. I'll join a protest because I have the right to join a protest, but I don't represent any group in this sense. I'm not representing the Foxes Trust or anything like that in regards to the protest. I'm going as my own opinion because I'm worried about the future of my football club. But I am privy to conversations that happen around the protest with the people that are organising it. That there are plans to do several bits and pieces. I imagine there might even be a mass walkout at some point, and that's quite striking on TV as well. If you leave after 15 minutes and your stadium then turns empty and the atmosphere is gone.
We've seen a lot of that this season when we go down.
Yes, exactly. But and look, some people say that protest won't achieve a single thing, and that's fine. Like, you're entitled to that opinion, and it might not make any difference whatsoever with the football club and the ownership. But as long as people are aware that you're unhappy with how things have gone, you should make the club aware of that. And by any means necessary, by sending them an email, by replying on Twitter to them, not being abusive, by attending a protest or not going to games. I'm stupid enough that I will attend the protests, right? But I will also go to away games because, look, I love this football club and I still want to back the lads and give them all that I can. But I don't like any of them. You can probably name 3 or 4 players in that whole squad that I'm like, okay, I would happily have them stay at the football club. I can't stand the vast majority of those footballers right now. And it's not just because of the results. It's the way they walk around the pitch. Like, nobody gives a shit. Like, Abdul looks disinterested. Reed is not the best footballer. Dako can't hit a barn door with a banjo. You're having to rely on Harry Winks and Oliver Skip in midfield. Okoli might genuinely be the worst centre-back I've ever seen play for Leicester. And that's taking some beating. I'm not going to lie. But, Mavididi pisses me off because he doesn't do anything. He doesn't give a shit either.
Well, do you want some good news? Do you want some news to cheer you up?
They're all out of contract soon, and we'll be in League One anyway.
A couple of them are, but that's not the good news. When we come to rating the players later, we're going to do half points.
Oh, well, how has that changed?
Well, the audience spoke and I listened.
Oh, and Brad's not here for it because he's a skiver tonight. So
yes, he is. Well, no, in fairness, although it's the fact that page you've now got to pay to see what Jordan says. But Jordan has started giving half marks out. So whether he's been watching this or not, I don't know. So, but if he's giving half marks out, I then can't come back and say to you guys can't, because that was the matching up. And I have to say that he doesn't give any marks to anybody that comes on after the 75th minute. I think he left, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid the potential protest outside if there was one. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Right. I want to ask you this. I mean, Gary Rowett says we are too easy to score against. No fucking shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
I mean, again, is that... Look, I've done it there. Soccer coaching for dummies. You can see the three guys on there. The forward written by Andy King and Adam Sadler. I mean, yeah, we know that. Tell us something for a manager to come in and say that in the position we are in, what the fuck have you been doing for 2 weeks?
I mean, to be fair, would you rather him come out and say that or do what the previous manager did? He's like, oh, well, we're okay. We need to improve. We need to do better. No, I'd rather a manager come in and say that was shit. We need to work on it. And we will be working on it. I think even he's woken up to the idea, because I did see at full time the camera pan to him and he was talking to Callum Davidson and somebody else, and they just looked shell shocked, like, fucking hell, what's going on here? Like, I think he's realized, like, fuck, actually, these are a bunch of gutless mercenaries, and if he keeps us up, he should get a knighthood, because there's no way, in my opinion, that he will. But it's a miracle.
Well, interestingly, if he keeps us up, what do you make of Enzo and Willie being there?
Strange. The strangest thing, because he was offered the job. He was the first choice by the football club, and then it's like you've married somebody, you're divorced, and yet you've invited them back into the house to see your new house with your new partner. Who you've not seen your ex-wife for a number of years. She's only ever said positive things about you, though. And then you invite them around for dinner. Like, doesn't make any sense. I don't understand if it was just Enzo, but the fact that it was Enzo and his whole backroom staff, like, I think, honestly, it's probably a case of they were just looking at Macassar for next season, because he will be the Man City manager next year. But
that's what strange. I think. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said at the time. And interestingly, Jordan has done a bit on that tonight. Where are we going? Why was Enzo Maresca at the game on Saturday? In short, because he asked.
Yeah.
Out of work since January, the former City boss has got empty weekends at the moment. He asked if he, Willie Caballero and Danny Walker could return to the King Power Stadium as spectators, and the club were happy to host. I mean, it would have been a little bit awful of them to say no, fuck off, wouldn't it, really?
Maybe come to the Tuesday night game, mate, not Gary Rowett's first game in charge. Like, what message does that scream? Because there was a bit during the protest where, because we're outside the players' lounge, and suddenly it erupted into some applause, and we were like, what the fuck's that? And then we got told that Enzo had just walked in. We were like, no, it can't be. Surely it was me, right? Because I'm bold. Maybe somebody bold was like, oh, it's Enzo Maresca, but it wasn't. And then, we saw the pictures of him. We were just like, that's so strange. Honestly, it's so strange.
They brought it up on the TV, and I was actually writing something down at the time, so I didn't see it. He says, despite the nature of his ex with the club expressing their disappointment over joining Chelsea, I still think there's a healthy relationship between the Italian and the City board, when he spoke warmly about the club during the games against Chelsea last season. The whole thing seems fairly harmless. If he turned up during Steve Cooper's reign, then that may have been a different story. And I think turning up during a guy who's, like you say, first home game, is only in charge temporarily. We know that King Power was courting him, Enzo, before Gary was appointed. And have you ever seen the film A Damned United?
I have, yes.
When, not long after leaving, one of Reve, who was then the England manager's first games, was to go back and watch Leeds United. And there, Brian Clough allegedly wasn't too happy. It smacks a little bit of that for me.
Well, I disagree with what Jordan said there. If he turned up at the, after when Steve Cooper was there, because he was in a job, so it's not like he was going to be turning up to hang over Steve Cooper because he was waiting for a job. Whereas now he hasn't got a job. So,
and in fairness, you could have been scouting us because we've been playing them that season.
Exactly, yeah. So but that's Jordan for you, isn't it? Let's be honest. He's a tool short of a full toolbox at times. Yeah, just very strange to have a former manager that you were speaking to take over, 3 or 4 weeks prior to be at the game. But yeah, but that's Leicester City, isn't it? The ever obliging Leicester City. There is no stone left unturned in the pursuit of being embarrassed by this football club. Simple as that.
I mean, they could have said, "Look, maybe it's not the right game to come to," or anything like that. I don't know if he's still got a home in Leicestershire, but it did seem strange, I have to say. And look, I know Pep's got the end of this season, then he's got another season. They were saying a few weeks ago, if he doesn't catch Arsenal this season, he may just decide he's had enough and want to go. So if he does come back, then it's a case probably of us only having one season again with him anyway. But look, I don't think he's coming back. Would he want to come to us in League One?
No, he's not coming back. He's not coming back. Simple as that.
Yeah. Here's another. Should we have another no fucking shit Sherlock moment?
Sure.
Ricardo Pereira warns time is running out for Leicester.
Wow.
I mean, from somebody that's having difficulty running these days, I don't know whether that's sort of sarcasm or what.
Well, he doesn't care because he's not going to be in next year anyway. So, time is running out and you put in performances like that.
Yeah.
It's on you, mate. It's on you. You're the captain. You go in there and give this squad some home truths. Simple as that. But you won't because you're too pally with everybody.
Yeah. And I'm going to play this for Ricardo.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, totally. Right, shall we actually get on to the game? Because there was a game of football broke out in the middle of all this, and especially because I was going to go down and watch it down the pub, but last time I watched it down the pub, halfway through, a referee walked in. I thought, so we're going to kick off now.
That's worse than Jordan Ayer's performance.
Now, look, I know before anybody says, but to be totally honest with you, I couldn't be asked to update it. So I do know Bekovic isn't there. It's Stolarczyk. I was worried when I saw that he was in the side, but I don't think he had a particularly bad game. What were your thoughts when you saw the team selection?
Is what I expected, to be honest. I didn't think there'd be many changes from the performance against Stoke and Middlesbrough, and that's basically, isn't it? I expected Begovic, but obviously him getting an injury 5 minutes before the sort of going in before kickoff, so you're bound to make a change there. Mavididi being dropped is an interesting one, but he didn't start against Middlesbrough. It was Bobby, so that's probably, other than JJ, that's probably the best lineup we've got, and that's depressing.
Well, yeah, probably is, like you say, in fairness. When I looked at that, my first surprise was after Stolarczyk was starting, and like I say, fair play to him, he wasn't that bad, was Ricardo starting, like I said earlier, his third game in 8 days. I mean, who knew? Well,
maybe they've surgically improved, putting new legs on. He's got new knees, so he can
$6 million. Well, not the $6 million, maybe the £6 man.
That's all we can afford. We better keep the lights on at the moment, so we can't give him more than that. Maybe he has got like penny machines in his legs, so you have to keep putting pennies in to make him run a bit quicker. But yeah, I mean that's what I expected. With the fact that Lascelles is back now means that hopefully Akoli gets dropped. But overall, yeah, it is what it is.
And do you think it's because I think it was either you or possibly Clibbo or Reese saying that Ricardo's been told not to go too far forward.
Yeah, I think we're playing a flat back four to be a bit more better defensively. That hasn't helped clearly because look at us. The defending for those 2 goals were genuinely. I keep saying genuinely, but genuinely, horse shit. I'm not gonna say dog shit. It's worse than dog shit. It's horse shit. There's too much of it. But yeah, I think that he's trying to shore up the defense. But if you play a Coley and Luke Thomas, you're not going to be very assured, are you?
No, I mean Luke Thomas. Is there anybody else? Nope. I mean, again, I don't think he had an overly bad game. Say overly bad, worse than anybody else. But a Coley, I want to talk to you then about a Coley because there's a lot to be said, isn't there, for having a settled back four?
Yeah, I mean, settled back four with a Coley doesn't really work because he's like Bambi on ice with no brain. His passing is terrible. His pressing is terrible. He's weak for a really big guy. He's not very quick. I think we are better off without him as a centre back, but beggars and choosers and all that at this point.
It is. Winks and Skip. I was impressed with them in the last 2 games, but I just don't know what happened. I've got to be honest with you. I have been starting right from scratch again with Ted Lasso, whatever you want to say it. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, I wonder if Top wants to ruin us, like the owner did in that at the start.
Yeah, possibly.
And I'm thinking, is that the case? And maybe he's just picking the worst managers he can. And then you look at the players out there, and I'm thinking, it just reminds me so much of what's going on at Leicester. Bobby Reid wasn't in that central position. There was, I think if I went onto 3 sites, it was on 3 different positions. It was on the right. He's not a winger. So why put him on the wing and not keep him to go up front if you're taking Daka off? Because surely he's got 5 goals this season. Doesn't sound a lot, but it's our 3rd or 4th best goal scorer. And out of everybody that's fit, apart from Fatawu now, he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Macassar has played well in that 10 role, so yeah. I think it's okay. Bobby, he tends to cut inside a bit more, but he's not a winger. He was in his youth. He was very quick at Fulham when he was there, but right now at his age, he's not quick enough to be a winger. But the only person you could put in there is Monga, who, let's be honest, hasn't really put up any trees this season so far. He's been quite poor in his appearances. And Mavididi, who's also been quite poor in his appearances. He was his shooting against Stoke was really poor. And then when he came on, he didn't look interested anyway. So I think you're trying to put players in there that will run for the team, and I think that's what he's going for. He's going for players that will run and that will chase back in this situation.
But then you've got Dakova Reid, who's 30 odd, and like Pierre doesn't run very well. I just think that what you are maybe gaining by putting him in over Mavididi, you're losing because he's now not a natural winger. Yes,
but if you look at how Luke Thomas is, Steffi doesn't track back. He doesn't track back and put a defence in. So I think, and that leaves us exposed even more in that situation. Chris, I'm really sorry. I've just been cycling today, and usually something happens when I go cycling around the bottom area. I'm going to have to give me 5 minutes whilst you go and so speak to the camera and everybody else.
No problem. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. Talking about being shit. Let's be honest. Oh, okay, you couldn't write it, could you? I just think, and this is what annoys me, not just about Gary Rowett, but about other people as well. I couldn't believe, now that Gary Rowett's here, first of all, that I saw Adam Sadler on the touchline. I thought he'd have gone when Rowett came in with Davidson. Again, I understand them keeping Kingy. I just think, I even get Daka being up front, out the two, but bringing AU on, put Bobby Reid up front. I mean, when we look at when the substitutions were, Bobby Reid came off after 57 minutes. He was the first substitute. So maybe he was knackered. Well, no shit, putting a 30-odd something person on the wing, you're going to knacker him out. And he knows where the net is. So he's been completely wasted while he's been, when he's on the wing. So switch him and Daka up front and just stick. Yeah, look, I'd love to try 3-5-2. I really would. Have we got the wing backs though? Who would you put in those positions? We can talk about that on Friday night at 9:00 when it's the preview for the Ipswich game. The old tractor boys are coming. Oh no, we're going to their town, aren't we? But look, again though, what do you think? Only four substitution. Again, Paul, exactly. Why not? Why not? If he'd come in today and said, right, I'm taking Daka off, not coming today, but on Saturday, join the game, 76 minutes, right, I'm taking Daka off, I'm bringing Mavididi on, but I'm putting him up front. Or, and this has been said so many times, remind me, Clibbo, remind me. So many times, people have said about having Monga just be in that number 10 position. I mean, if he tried that, if it went wrong, yes, we'd moan. We're football fans. It's what we do best. You have to be pedantic, but you have, we are, not facetious, I can't think of the word, but we change our mind a lot as football fans. And we also like to moan as football fans. But at least I'd give him some points for actually trying something different. Because at the moment, he is doing absolutely nothing different to what Andy King did. Andy King did nothing different to what Martin Cifuentes did. Martin Cifuentes did absolutely nothing different to what Ruud van Nistelrooy did. And I get fed up with saying it, what fucks me off, because it's the same old. Sorry, of course, Aluko. You're quite right, Clibbo. I'd forgotten Aluko. At least when we got rid of, and I think it was a mistake, and I think it was too early, but when we actually got rid of Steve Cooper, at least we tried something different with Ruud van Nistelrooy. We went, different styles. But why are we still doing? And look, remember when we said, now, Tibbo, don't get cheeky. No. Why were we laughed at? And a lot of fans laughed at us when we said, you know what, we could do a Luton Town here. And I'm not saying that's just because of the 6 points. I think even if we're given those 6 points back or we hadn't been deducted them, I still think we'd be struggling. I still think we'd be fighting a relegation battle. I just, everybody said, or not everybody, a lot of fans said, and I have to say, if you said this, you were probably really deluded at the start of the season. We're going to come back up. We've got a really strong squad. On paper. But, what do you do on paper? You wipe your arse on paper. So, but what we did have was a team that had come down, was completely demoralised and was completely shipped from the Premier League. And the best of that bunch, we got rid of. So anyway, Lascelles coming on didn't make any difference, did it? Let's be honest with you. It didn't make the slightest bit of difference. In fact, Where are we? They scored the second goal 2 minutes after he came on. Mavididi didn't make any difference. James, I understand that, Mukasa, he runs all over the place. And James couldn't play the full game. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. But does am I the only one that wants to see something different? That wants to see a manager that will say, this isn't fucking working. I'm going to try something different. If that doesn't work, you can sack me. But I don't believe that this is working for you. Chris Wilder, sorry, went into Sheffield United. Fuck it. Irks me so much that he wanted the job and we passed him over. He went back to Sheffield United. Sheffield United had a squad where a lot of his players that he took to the playoff final the season before had been released or gone back after loans. And he came in, and with the squad that he had, he swapped it round from what the knobhead that was before him was trying to do. And look where they are now. Pretty much safe. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Oh, he's back.
Jesus, sorry about that.
It's good that we like to keep the one theme running throughout the show, and obviously tonight it's shit.
Sometimes when I talk about Leicester, it just comes out of me really quickly. So,
well, I'm surprised it didn't come out the other end. Hey, look, those are the subs. Look, I'm just saying that if he'd put Mavididi on up front or and brought Mongo on, if he tried something different, and I've just said, and I'm fed up with saying this, Steve, but Maresca got us up playing 4-2-3-1. I don't think we would have stayed up even with him, but he took us up. And let's be honest with you, he wouldn't change it when we lost and we went down from 17 points ahead to 1. Cooper came in because Enzo had left. Cooper came in last minute, was trying to do something different. The fans didn't like it. The fans didn't like him because of Nottingham Forest and all this, and he was sacked. Rude came in, went, I'm going to play 4-2-3-1. Fucking got us relegated with the worst season, unless you remember Frank McClintock's, in our history. He then was sacked, and we brought in Marty Cifuentes. Marty Cifuentes decides to play exactly the same formation, but with less players because we'd sold all the half-decent ones. It didn't work, surprise, surprise. Andy King takes over for 4 games. He plays the same. Doesn't work. Fucking surprise, surprise. And now Rowett's still sticking with it. All I'm asking for is to see a manager try something different. If it doesn't work, fine. And I'll moan because I'm a football fan and it's what we do. And I just said I will moan and I will complain. But I will give him marks for actually trying something different.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but you're playing with who you've got, haven't you? If you went to a 3 at the back, unfortunately, I don't think there was a spare centre back for us to do that on Saturday. Sells has just come back from an injury, so who are you going to play as centre back with Nelson and Nicoli? Would that be Ricardo Pereira? Not good enough, in my opinion, to play that role. Would that be a Luco? Still quite young.
Well, Clibbo said a Luco.
Yeah, I mean, you could try a Luco for sure, but I think that we'll probably end up seeing that a formation change going forward once you get some more players back, and with JJ coming back into the team as well. But I honestly, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to change, because it's unfortunately you could bring in Pep Guardiola and play the newest style of football ever that wins games in the Premier League, and there's no confidence in the squad. I think the players not having any confidence in themselves is a big issue. That you can change the formation, but if a player doesn't believe in himself or doesn't believe in his teammates, then you're not going to get anywhere anyway.
Is it a case of they don't believe in themselves, or they just can't be asked?
Oh yeah, these players don't. Yeah, of course they can't be asked. These, it's clear to see. You look at the starting 11. Realistically speaking, you've got Ricardo out the door in the summer, Winks out the door in the summer, Daka out the door in the summer. You've brought on Jordan Ayew out the door in the summer. Abdul will leave. Mavididi will leave. JJ won't sign. McCassie's going back to Man City. Akoli will probably go back to Italy. Ben Nelson will get a move somewhere else. So realistically, if you're looking at that squad and looking at players that you think will be here next year, even if we don't get relegated and we stay up, half the squad won't be here anyway. They're all playing for the next contract. I don't think the actual players want to be here. I honestly think Daka will go to a different club and he'll have a really good career. He'll score 10 or 15 goals a season in a different league. I think the overall issue here is Leicester City. I think that, it's like, you've ever been into a job where you've worked for a really shitty manager, like he's done nothing but pick on you but he's gone. The next one comes in and he's just as bad as the previous one.
I said this a while ago. Is that when I used to work for a company in Bournemouth, and the manager there, I was sort of the team manager of my department, but the overall sales manager was a bit of a dick, if I'm honest with you. Nobody liked him. We'd had a lady come in who'd done my job before me, and she was brilliant, and she went off because she'd had a baby, and then and she was coming back, and that's why they'd given her that job, because her other job wasn't ready yet. Then she came back and replaced him. My God, everybody's productivity went up.
Yeah,
she didn't do anything. She just literally just walked through the door, and we went, yes,
Yeah, but I think that it's like working for a really shitty company that keeps hiring dickheads to dickhead staffs and dickhead managers. Not that Rowett is a dickhead, but it all comes from the actual ownership of the company itself. They're making these decisions, and if they keep making the wrong decisions, it's going to sort of slowly filter down, and you'll get workers that just don't care anymore. And this is it. The players don't care.
Is this guy still the best manager? Do you have faith in him to at least try and keep us up?
Yeah, I have faith in him that he will try and keep us up. I don't know who else you're going to bring in if you get rid of him, because no manager. The club spoke to 6 different managers. They approached Russell Martin twice to speak to him.
No.
Yeah. And they went with Rowett because they'd been turned down by 5 other managers. So nobody wants to be here. Rowett did. He's the only one you can get.
Russell Martin turned us down.
Well, they spoke to him. I don't know whether or not they actually offered him the job, but they spoke to him.
Top does love him. Top does love him. He's been a great admirer of him.
By what I've been told, the club spoke to. It might be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm the fountain of all information. It's always correct, but I was told that they've spoken to them twice, and they were basically turned down by several other managers that weren't interested, including certain people that got sacked by clubs up the road from Leicester, and it just wasn't going to happen. So Gary Rowett is the only manager that wanted the job, that genuinely wanted to come in and try and make a difference. And I don't think if you sack him, you're stuck with Andy King and Sadler, which will go down with anyway. Or I'd say you have a better chance with Gary Rowett. And I would say if we go down to League One, he's probably not the worst manager to have in that situation.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's, I think it would be absolutely fucking stupid to sack him now. You've got to give him till the end of the season. He has got more games than Dean Smith had, and I honestly think if Dean Smith had this number of games, we probably wouldn't have gone down, if I'm honest with you. But this is interesting. We'll just go through a few stats, but this one here, this is the timeline, and I use who scored for this. And nothing was of any interest before the 57th minute.
Yeah.
How bad it was when Caleb Akoli got booked. I mean, a lot of people were singing his praises a couple of weeks ago.
Who, Caleb Akoli?
Yeah.
No, nobody's ever sang Caleb Okoli's praises.
He was man of the match by somebody. I'm not sure. Don't forget me find me notes. I could be wrong. It's not that notebook. Somebody had him as their man of the match, I do believe. Yes, yeah. We'll leave that. This will be interesting.
Who was it? Who was it? Come on, Chris, spill the beans.
The name will come out later. It was
Okay.
one of the people that always does it at the end of the show, so the name will come out later. Look, we went 68 minutes without conceding a goal. Is that a positive?
No, because if you look at the first half performance anyway, they had some decent chances. I think they probably could have scored a couple without Jakob making some decent saves. So, look, we kept a clean sheet for that long. That's not the longest this season, that's for sure. But it doesn't matter, does it? Let's be honest, it doesn't matter.
No. The other managers wanted longer contracts. That's a good point, Armchair.
Well, no, they wanted contract clauses that if we got relegated, they could leave for free. So, yeah, I don't think they wanted to be manager in League One at this point.
Well, Rowett might not be. Let's be honest with you. That's what they've gone with anyway.
Yeah. But no, they would have happily have appointed one of these managers on a longer deal if the manager didn't want to break clause after the season.
Yeah. Again, I know you're not a fan of this, and I still think momentum's the wrong word, but look, I mean, for the home team, that's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually think that our survival is basically down to what we can do in away games, and yet we have less away games than we do home games. So that's worrying to say because there's less pressure in away games. You know,
I was just going to say, is that because of the pressure?
Yeah. I would say so because they're not being booed. They weren't booed at all in the first two games. But they were booed at halftime, but not by everybody. So, yeah, it's not great.
Okay, let me ask you that then, because you don't always see it on the TV, because as soon as the match goes, they go off to the studio and what have you. Was there booing at the ground?
On Saturday?
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Of course you weren't.
No, I didn't go into the game in the end. I went and had some food instead because I thought it was better. But by all accounts, yeah, there were boos and there was "You're not fit to wear the shirt." You could hear we were at a pub just up the road from the ground. You could hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I don't blame you. I mean, look how many times I've been on holiday during this season. 5.
Well, I got to meet the lovely Anil for the first time.
Yes, he was on telly.
Yes. Hinlocks and I were walking at the same, but they were on telly, but I got missed out, which is fine. I don't.
I didn't see Locks on telly. I just saw Neil, to be honest with you. But I don't know. But again, my daughter said, "Oh, I'm coming over, coming up from lunch. Lives and works in London. I'm coming up a couple of weekends ago. Any chance of seeing you on the Saturday?" Normally, I say, "Oh, there's a football match. Can you do it later, whatever?" I just said, "Yeah, of course." Because I'm just not bothered for doing the watch-alongs. But,
this week, I could get an Ipswich ticket if I wanted one, but me and my wife are going to watch Nottingham Panthers instead. So, that's ice hockey if nobody knows what that is.
Thank you. I was about to ask. Thank you.
Because it's nice to see a bit of fight in there rather than, because Leicester don't fight at all. Bunch of pussies.
Did you say Nottingham Panthers?
Yes, there isn't an ice hockey team in Leicester. So,
is it not? Did we used to have one?
I don't know, to be honest. I occasionally watch hockey. It's not something that I watch all the time.
No. I watch it just for the fights, like you say. Look, there's the stats. We had more possession. We had 10 shots. I don't remember us having that many, but only 3 on target. They had 12 with 8. Again, this annoys me. 17 touches in their box. They have 30 in ours, which again, you're just not always going to win games by scoring goals from outside the fucking box. And Jakob made 6 saves compared to a 3 for their goalkeeper. But I do want to talk, and you did say we're going to come back to this guy, Mr. Ayew. Now, he's come on. He played 14 minutes. in total, and he came on as our number 9. He scored no goals. He had no shots, therefore no shots on target, and no assists because obviously we didn't score. His expected assists were 0.00. He created no chances. He committed 1 foul. He won 0 fouls. He made 2 passes. All right, both of those were successful. That is the guy that came on to try and save our match.
This is not something that I say lightly, because you could probably say the same about Daka as well. But I genuinely think I would take Trevor Benjamin over Jordan Ayew. And Trevor Benjamin was a terrible footballer. Jordan Ayew does not give a shit. He's paid a king's ransom to run around a football pitch not looking interested. There's a clip online where he was going in for a tackle and the guy just turned him and he didn't even chase back. He falls over too quickly. He doesn't care. You can clearly see by the end of the game where he just trudged off, not looking interested. He is somebody that come the end of the season, he will not look back. He will not be here because he won't be anyway. But honestly, I would say that he is the worst footballer, with the worst attitude. I would say the worst attitude that I've ever seen at Leicester City. And it's a damning indictment for this club that he is wearing that number 9 shirt. It's like you're shitting all over the legacy of Jamie Vardy by giving the number 9 shirt to that there.
You were pointing at Marty Cifuentes then, but it's
not on my camera. That's Jordan Ayew there, but
is it? Oh,
yeah,
right.
that one. Yeah.
It's bad. It always makes me laugh. That I agree. I mean, obviously, should we have retired the number 9 shirt out of interest?
No, I don't think you retire it. And to be honest, I wouldn't give it to any of the current number, strikers at the football. Or even Carranza, I wouldn't have given it to him. I think you give it to somebody that's going to be here going forward. That maybe you sign a striker and he gets a number 9 shirt, but to give it to Jordan Ayew and it's that performance, and we've had that performance a lot this season.
You've said Trevor Benjamin. You 2.5 Trevor Benjamin. AD Akinbaye?
Akinbaye actually had a decent first half of the season for Leicester. The second half of the season, he played all right.
He tried.
Yeah. I mean, look, the £5.5 million we spent on him wasn't ideal back then, but I would say that his goals scoring record wasn't actually that bad compared to. It's only because he missed more shots than I can remember. But I would say that I would have Akinbaye in the squad over Jordan Ayew because at least he put himself about.
Indeed, he did. He fought. That's the thing. Now I know you're going to say, well, these two players don't play in the same position. But forgetting that, just for a bit of fun, would you sooner have Jordan Ayew or Junior Lewis?
Again, Junior, at least so I always say you can make up quality by being energetic, right? If you're hardworking, you don't have to have all the talent in the world. Look at Gary Neville. His class is one of the best right backs in Premier League history. He didn't have the talent. He just worked hard. But you can't outmatch work rate with talent, unfortunately. If you don't put yourself about, look at Mahrez at Leicester and then at Man City. He put himself about. He was tracking. He was still putting in, tackles and stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't get that with certain wingers. And I would happily take Junior Lewis over Jordan Ayew as well, which is crazy to say.
Yeah. Or, when we could even say Jamie Tart, couldn't you?
Yeah, fictional. I mean, to be fair, he signed for Man City, so fictionally he's still better than Jordan Ayew.
Sorry, I'm just going over to my, my Ted Lasso comparisons again. Right, are you and is everybody in the chat ready?
Yes.
I want to play a game. If you've never watched Saw, you'll have no idea what that is. And have you watched Saw? Oh my God! I named 2 films at the start that you hadn't watched. I finally got one that you watched.
I'll be honest, I'm not really much of a film watcher. I watch occasional ones. I've seen some classics, back in the days, but I've never seen like The Sopranos, which is The Godfather. I've never seen The Godfather. So
No, I haven't either, to be fairness. But so I want to play a game. Everybody in the chat as well, you can get your answers in. Do you ever watch Jeopardy?
yes.
So, if the answer is Jordan Ayew, what is the question?
Who is more like no? Name me an Ghanaian footballer who would fall down the toilet whilst scrubbing it.
You would hope.
You'd hope, yeah.
You'd hope. You'd hope. I mean, there is so much. I mean, to me, that was at that point when I just gave up. I really did when he came on. I thought, and I jokingly put in the watch along because Tom does the commentary now, and I just sort of do the stats and what have you in the chat. And I put, "Don't worry, everybody, we're going to win this. Jordan Ayew's coming on." So my thing there was, who's the ham sandwich this week? But there we go.
I've got another one.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of the captain of the Costa Concordia? If anyone doesn't know, that's the cruise ship that hit off the coast of Italy.
I know the cruise ship.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put the link together. That's because he can't drive, or he can't.
No, it's because he's a car. It's because he'll crash into everything, and then he tries to escape the lifeboat.
I've
Go
got
down with the sinking ship, are you?
Yeah. How to say you shit without being shit. So get your thoughts in for that. We'll come back to that possibly at the end of the show if anybody can be bothered to answer that. Right, okay. This doesn't make good reading, does it? I mean, we have been over the last few games. We have been so lucky that. All right, we know we got 2 draws against 2 probably very good teams, but other teams were losing around us. Oxford beating West Brom, was that the best result we could have hoped for?
I mean, that table isn't up to date because Oxford are on 32 points now, not 29. So
that is what I copied off Sky today.
Well, it's incorrect. I've just looked.
No, you actually know. Now you pointed it out. I agree. It is incorrect. Yes.
Yeah, because we've all played 35 games, haven't we? I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So,
bloody Sky. Can't trust them to do anything right.
I actually think we're going to finish 23rd, and if Sheffield Wednesday hadn't been given the biggest points deduction in Championship history, I actually think we could finish bottom. If you, I know they're relegated before the season started, to be honest, but
yeah,
it's almost like form table wise, I think we're almost as bad as them. I know they've lost every game, so. But you can guarantee that come the home game when we play, the away game when we play them, they'll beat us 1-0.
Yeah, I'm dreading that. All right, West Bromwich Albion 35. That is, again, I think that's saying they played 34. Sky, you've let me down here. They're on 35. Rovers are on 38. Portsmouth are on 39. I think Charlton, and once you get to the 40s, I think we're talking safe. So for me, it's any 2 from 5. Would you argue with that? Would you disagree with that?
I think Charlton are in free fall, but they might just have enough to keep themselves up. So yeah, I actually, at this point, because of how poor both West Brom and Leicester are, you might even say Portsmouth and Blackburn are safe as well. Because okay, it's 4 points for us to get to Blackburn, and we play them the last game of the season, but they've had an uptick in form, haven't they? They've picked up some wins. So Portsmouth, and yet we haven't. So at this point, I would say it's a straight shootout between Oxford, Leicester, and West Brom.
And you still feel that, who do you think is going to survive? I mean, out of those 3, and I guess we don't know because it depends who West Brom appoint.
So I would say it's Oxford because they have history and experience in fighting relegation battles. They did it last year, whereas West Brom don't, and neither do Leicester. Well, clearly we don't. We've seen in the past that we're not good at relegation battles. So
Yeah.
I actually think Oxford stay up and both West Brom and Leicester go down.
Interesting. That would be a bit of a knife in the back for Gary Rowett, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Kept them up last season, and they stayed up, but they took Leicester down this season.
Yeah.
Reminds me a bit of Nigel Pearson. When he was at Southampton. Right. Let's get on with this then. And what we're going to do is we are going to rate the players. Now, interesting, because this is the first one here where I'll join in because obviously Brad's not here, but the first one where we can have halves because Jordan Blackwell has decided to start giving halves as well. So I've got Steve, I've got Chris, and I've got Jordan. Right, now, in fairness, he hadn't planned to be playing. I don't think he had a bad game, actually.
No, I give him a 7. I think he made some decent saves. And without him, we would have been sort of 3 or 4 down before half time. So, I think 7 would be fair for Jakob.
And I don't think he can be blamed for either goals, really, could he?
No, because it's poor defending.
Yeah.
It is poor defending.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I would go 7, and so did Jordan. So all three of us went 7s there. Ricardo.
I say it's probably his best game in a Leicester shirt for a while. 7.5 for me. I think he played okay. I don't think he's at fault for the goals. He played all right.
Yeah.
But it's the minimum. We lost 2-0, so it's the bare minimum, isn't it, to play okay?
Yeah, I'm. I'm gonna give him a 5. I wasn't, he didn't, like you say, he did the bare minimum, but he didn't impress me. And in fairness, Jordan's gone 6 as well. In fact, I'll give him 5.5. That's let me up it by a half. So, but I'm just, it's hard when you actually anti a player anyway. Akoli, this is going to be interesting.
5.5. He made a couple of challenges. He was putting himself about a bit, but he's just not a good footballer, unfortunately. And I don't know if you can blame him for the goals. They should have closed him down a lot quicker. The guy that ran through, but 5.5. 5.5.
I've gone 6. So you were going to say?
I was going to say that I actually think that whilst we conceded 2 poor goals, I think overall the defense was okay. It's more the attack where I'm going to be more critical because we didn't show anything in attack again.
Again, I would possibly say under Marty that might have been a 3 or 4 niller.
Yeah.
So 2 6s from me and Jordan there. Nelson,
5.5 as well. With Ben, I don't think he gets, because having Luke Thomas next to you isn't ideal, is it? Let's be honest. I think he needs a leader next to him because I don't think he's that role, but he's still only 21. So, but 5.5. He played okay, but again, it's the bare minimum, isn't it?
I'm going to do what Brad always says, that whatever you give one centre back, you should give the other centre back. You've done it with Akoli. I'm going to do it with Nelson and give him a 6. Probably was as. Do I go for? I don't go for a half because Jordan's gone for 6.5. Again, nothing outstanding, unfortunately. Luke Thomas.
Lukey Thomas. I don't think it was his worst game. I will say that he didn't like when their second goal. The guy had all the space in the world to get the ball into the box because Mavididi didn't track the runner. But it's on Luke Thomas' side, but he was marking somebody else, so I can't blame him for the second goal. It was an okay performance, so I think I sort of give him a 5.5 half as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually didn't think this was, like you say, his worst game. He's there because we've got nobody else. Let's be honest with you. That's the reason he's there. If we had another left back, I'd be tempted to actually drop Mavididi and put him up in Mavididi's role. At least he can get crosses in and what have you, and he's not sort of reliant so much on his defending. But I'll try anything, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, Chris, are you all right, mate? Do you need
a hug? I'm not, to be honest with you. I bloody dig up Keith Weller and put him out if I could. Apologies to Keith Weller, R.I.P. My all-time favourite Leicester player. Let me just say that I've got a signed autograph of him up on the wall with his picture. I was trying to dig myself out of a grave. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give him 5.5. So that's what I went with Ricardo. He got 6.5 from Jordan. So getting on to midfield and Mr. Harry Winks.
Look, he was the one that was sort of keeping the team ticking over. He had a shot on target and a shot off target. Overall, he's a 6 out of 10. I don't think he ever pulls up any trees, but he played okay. I think his partner wasn't great, but I think he played okay. I'm being more positive this week, aren't I?
Oh, no, you are, but there was no result at the end of it.
Sorry, 6.
Yeah, I've gone 6 as well. Yeah, you can't really go a lot higher than that when you look at the performance, can you?
No, you can't. No.
And you'll be surprised when I get down to my team performance. Oof, that's completely different. Skip.
He was caught napping for the second goal. I actually think it was probably one of his worst, and that's a low bar, isn't it? One of the worst games he's played for Leicester for a while.
Can I just say, sorry, Jordan gave 6 to Winks as well.
Okay, yeah. I would personally give Oliver Skip a 4. I don't think he was great.
Are you copying my homework?
I'm trying not to.
I've gone 4 as well. Where's the camera? But Jordan has gone 5. Interestingly, Batawu.
Abdul, the most frustrating player for Leicester City this season, doesn't contribute a lot at the moment. He scores the odd worldie. I think he looks really disinterested. I really do. I don't think he wants to be here. I give him a 5. He was not great at all.
More generous than me. I've given him a 3.
Fair.
But Jordan has given him a 5 as well. Flew past his man with his first touch, then kept coming in field into waiting defenders.
Yep.
Which is what he does.
Yep.
Mukasa.
A poor game for him. He was very quiet. I would personally give him a 5. Not as bad as Abdul. But yeah, not great. He looked really sort of not interested again.
Yeah. I'm going to give him my lowest score that I have ever given him in any match that he's played for us. It's not been many, I agree, but I'm giving him 5.5.
Okay.
And when you look at he was my man of the match for 2 games, the previous 2 games, you'll see that why that is a poor score. He gets a 5 from Jordan as well. Jordan's been pretty much on the ball tonight, isn't he?
Yeah.
Dakova Reed.
Oh, poor as well. Almost as bad as that. I'd give him the same score as I gave Abdul, to be honest. Just no threat whatsoever on that left hand side.
Yeah. Well, you've gone for that. I'm just going to drop mine down a bit because I was going to give him the same as Fatawu. I should give him the same as Fatawu, but I haven't. I've given him 2.5.
Mhm.
But I'm going to put an asterisk with that because Bobby's got 1 off Prashant because. And the asterisk means that it wasn't. And I used to give a lot of these to James Justin in the relegation season. As bad as his performances were, he shouldn't be in that role.
No, agreed.
You know, that's the thing. If he was in his number 10 role, or even as a striker, he'd have probably got more. In fact, he'd have probably got a goal, to be honest with you. Mr. Daka.
He runs about a bit. He almost sort of caught the goalkeeper unaware at one point with that slide. And, if there was somebody following, we probably could have scored from that position. You know what you're getting with Patson. He's going to run around a lot, but he's just got no end quality.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to be overly harsh because I don't think he was as bad as Abdul and Skip. So I think a 5.5.
4 for me. He needs to start scoring, but we've got to start giving him the help that he needs, which I think is, why do we? I went very high then. Why do we buy a striker who does very, very well in a 2 up front and then play him as a single striker and think it's going to work?
I don't know. Honestly, I think he's been here for so long that the water is so far underneath that bridge, Chris, that we're trying to throw so much shit at the wall, and I don't think he's the overall issue. I think that if he doesn't think about things, he might score more goals. If he was just sort of hitting the ball without thinking about it, he might genuinely score. But we just don't get him into those positions where he can have a shot from 4 yards out, because we're trying to play the ball around too much.
And I honestly, like I say, I just think it's like, we seem to see these players who are very good in a particular role and then try and put them into a different role and surprise when they're not. He gets a 5 off Jordan. Okay, substitutes. Mavadidi.
Oh, this is where I'm going to be harsh. 2. Terrible.
I'm going to give him 1.5.
Fair.
That's how bad. He said no impact, but he's given him 5.
Crazy, isn't it? No impact. You think you'd be alone, but I also think he doesn't want to upset the club too much. So he's got to give him some positives, right?
Yeah. What have you put there, Prashant? Is that a 1? I think it is. Oh no, 1.5. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, you obviously a man of taste there. You agree with me, Prashant? I've always liked that Prashant. Always said he knows what he's talking about. Lascelles. Now these aren't getting any scores off Jordan. I don't know why, because they were on for like 20 minutes with stoppage. I wasn't impressed. I didn't think he did anything. In fact, he'd only been on 2 minutes and conceded the second.
Yeah, I don't know what else he could do, to be honest. Again, I don't blame him for the second goal. That was down to switching off at the back post. So I think you'd probably give him a 5. He wasn't the problem, was he?
Well, I'm giving him a 3.5.
Okay.
And I think the problem is when you've got Lascelles and Ricardo both play in the back 4 because you've got I would agree with you there totally. You've got your captain, and then you've got somebody that used to be a captain that knows how to be a captain that isn't a captain.
Yeah,
and you got this guy that's probably wanting to organise the defence. and out of respect, possibly for Ricardo, doesn't, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. James?
Ran around a bit. I don't think he was the problem. I'd probably give him a 6. He was all right.
I'm going to give him a 4, but with another asterisk, because obviously it was he's only just coming back from injury. And like you say, you couldn't have put a Lionel Messi come on at 75 minutes and get anything out of that team.
Yeah.
There's a 5.5 there for him. And finally,
1. Waste of a shirt. I've had shits that move quicker than Jordan Ayew. Literally just about 10 minutes ago.
Can I say I'm building one up here? That's to do with the fact that Jordan Ayew's just come up on the screen, or is it? Is it? I'd written this one down a long time ago, and I'm sorry. I feel awful doing, but I don't feel awful. No, I don't. No, in fact, I'm giving him what I think, which is a big fat 0.
Fair.
I can't, right. Now then, I know we're going to disagree on this one. How many would you give Rowett?
See, this is where we disagree because I don't think he's the issue. I think he's probably got a 5.5. He made changes too late. I will agree with you there. Leaving it to the 76th minute to bring on 3 extra signings and then to go extra players and then go down a goal 2 minutes later. Yeah, it's just not good enough.
I've gone 3.5.
Fair. Okay.
To be honest with you, Fashan's gone in the middle of us and gone 4.5. Now then, this is going to be interesting. Man of the match and team rating. We'll do the team rating first. I need to change that round because if I can just find my notes here. Here we go. My team rating was 2.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say 2 as well.
Yeah. I mean, individually, some okay performances, but overall, I think, 2 steps forward, if you like, for the 2 draws, and then 3 back. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Your man of the match, well, my man of the match, I'm going to say, and if you look at my scores, you'd probably be surprised, but he's up there. It has to be Mukasa again. I'm sorry.
No, Jakob for me. The saves that he made, I think a
good shout. A good shout. If I hadn't gone Mukasa on Saturday, I would have probably agreed with you, but I'd already committed to Mukasa, so it would be very wrong of me to then change my opinion now.
Yeah.
And of course, we have Alan who goes to the matches, and now, do you promise not to go mad? And in fairness, because I love Alan to bits, right? And he's been doing this for me for years, and he's at the match and he sees it different to me. And I think if only ever in about 4 or 5 years I've ever overruled him twice. And one of them was to take it down from a team performance from 1 to 0. So I haven't. But this, are you ready for his choices?
Yes. Was he drunk?
No. Don't be horrible to him. Don't be horrible to him.
Not in a horrible way, but okay, fair enough.
The 4, I think he was being generous, but fair enough. He maybe saw things that I didn't. A Coley, I don't get that at all. But again,
that's the one. Yeah, that's the comment is aimed at the Coley being man of the match. The team score, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I just think for me, look, it's opinions. It's all about opinions, and we can disagree. And I've actually stopped putting these actually in the Facebook chat and just doing it online now because of the abuse that Alan was getting off some of the Leicester fans.
Yes, which is completely unacceptable. You shouldn't be abusing people for their opinion. Simple as that.
No, exactly. And to be honest with you, he so I was going to say, he has his opinion, disagree with him by all means and say why, but don't just call him names. But
yeah, agreed.
That's who got it, a Coley and team rating of 4. Steve, there we go. Oh, no, there was one last thing. You can probably guess that the way this is going. And I haven't loaded this image up. I've forgotten I hadn't put this in there. Because we used to have Donkey of the Match. We haven't started having Donkey. We now have the Leicester Till I Die Ham Sandwich of the Match Award.
Yep, I've seen it, yes.
Yes, it could only go for me to one person.
Yeah, I agree. Awful player.
I don't think there's any. And if anybody's in the chat wondering why we're saying the ham sandwich, I'm saying nothing. I am saying absolutely nothing. Steve, it is the what's the word I'm looking for? Forum show tomorrow.
Yep.
At 8:00. We're probably going to be talking about what's behind you on the wall. I know you talked about it a lot tonight, but having somebody who is on there, who was on the march, talking about the march and the protest, I think might be a good thing. So if that's okay with you.
Yep. I will need to be off by about 9:30, but yes, I can be there tomorrow night. And I won't be available next Monday because I am at the Foxes Trust board meeting on Monday evening. Right. So
hopefully, if Brad can turn up next Monday,
it'd be nice, wouldn't it? You know, it'd be nice for him to actually turn up and put an effort in. He's like the Jordan Ayew of the Monday review show.
Be careful, you're not here next Monday. Be careful where you're going with this. Right, I'm going to rush off because I need to do what you did earlier. Steve, thank you very much, mate. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Do all the normal stuff. Click the notifications, subscribe, like the video. Please like the video. It does help us. And if you're on your mobile phone, please hype. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:00. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.